It is highly unlikely, therefore, that Hugh Jackman was not therefore at least aware of why his quote unquote best friend, Ryan Reynolds, was writing in all of these lines.
Hugh Jackman just broke the internet, and not in the fun way. It happened on a packed red carpet in Los Angeles, just days after the Justin Baldoni lawsuit made headlines. Cameras were flashing, microphones outstretched, and Jackman was all smiles until someone asked a question about Ryan Reynolds. The atmosphere shifted. Jackman paused for half a second, then let it fly. "Let's just say I'm glad I dodged a few projects." No laughter, no wink. Just a cold, deliberate sentence that hit like a truck. Within minutes, the clip went viral. It wasn't the cheeky banter fans were used to. It was a statement.
Is Ryan Reynolds playing us? Justin Baldoni's lawsuit is exploding, but there's a hidden player, Ryan Reynolds. Reynolds, the charming husband, is more than just a bystander. The lawsuit claims Reynolds used his power to pressure WME to drop Justin, calling him a predator.
And in the middle of a legal battle involving Reynolds and Baldoni, the timing couldn't have been more loaded. To understand how massive that moment was, you have to rewind. For over a decade, Jackman and Reynolds have been Hollywood's golden duo. From their early days in X-Men Origins, Wolverine, to their online prank wars and joint charity campaigns, their friendship was legendary. People loved them together. They were the kind of duo that felt too good to be fake, like real brothers.
They worked on the set of It Ends With Us, okay? And that the villain in this entire story is not Blake Lively, it's not Justin Baldoni, but it is Ryan Reynolds.
So for Jackman to suddenly distance himself, publicly and sharply, raised every eyebrow in the room. It wasn't a one-off comment. It felt rehearsed, as if he'd been waiting to say it. And once it was out, he didn't backpedal. He just smiled, turned, and kept walking. Behind the cameras, there was even more tension. According to verified event schedules, Jackman and Reynolds were both invited to the same charity gala that evening, but Reynolds never showed. Not a cancellation, not a no-show. Just radio silence. People started whispering. Had Jackman known Reynolds wouldn't be there? Was the comment planned for that reason? Then came the social media blackout.
Ari Emanuel, Mr. Baloney Baldoni, is no longer the CEO of WME Endeavor.
Reynolds, who usually posts witty reactions within hours, didn't say a single word. No memes, no retorts, just nothing. That silence only made the situation louder. Back on the red carpet, insiders noticed that Jackman's entire energy had changed. Normally warm and playful with press, he was businesslike, sharp, and intentional. He wasn't promoting a movie, he was sending a message. Some outlets reported that Jackman even declined to take fan questions involving Reynolds afterward.
All right, you guys, so Ryan Reynolds obviously has to be deported back to Canada.
One reporter claimed he visibly rolled his eyes when the name came up again. And while no official statement followed, the video did all the talking. The world didn't need a press release. It had the clip and it had the context. That one sentence, 17 words, cracked open a door no one thought would ever budge. It exposed a shift in Hollywood's favorite friendship and linked Jackman directly, even if indirectly, to the Baldoni-Reynolds lawsuit. Whether he meant to or not, Jackman had taken a side. And fans everywhere started to ask the same question.
So I did know, because I had obviously very deeply looked into the Deadpool Wolverine movie.
If Hugh Jackman is stepping away from Ryan Reynolds, what else don't we know? The fallout from Hugh Jackman's red carpet remark didn't take long to ripple through Hollywood. Less than 24 hours after the video hit social media, major entertainment outlets began dissecting the moment frame by frame. Analysts slowed down his expression, zoomed in on his eyes, and picked apart every syllable. But while the media was busy decoding Jackman's delivery, something even more explosive surfaced. The court documents, real legal filings, now available to the public, laid out the full scope of the battle between Justin Baldoni and Ryan Reynolds.
Wait, do you guys remember the interview that Ryan took over for It Ends With Us?
It's not every day the husband gets to interview his wife's love interest in a film. It's kind of crazy.
I don't remember seeing this on the schedule.
Let's dive in, shall we?
According to the lawsuit, Baldoni had entered into a written agreement with Reynolds' production company to co-develop a high-concept streaming series. Emails included in the court's evidence log show Reynolds approving the pitch and agreeing to a timeline, until he suddenly pulled out. No explanation, no replacement, just gone. Baldoni's lawyers described the move as a calculated sabotage of months of work, alleging it cost the production over $6 million in pre-development and partner deals. Even more shocking, Reynolds allegedly tried to move the concept to another platform under a different title, cutting Baldoni out entirely.
And even orchestrated a smear campaign against Baldoni. Texts reveal a darker side, with Lively allegedly calling Reynolds and Swift her dragons in this battle.
Screenshots from internal emails between Reynolds' team and a competing studio were entered as evidence. The tone was casual, confident, like they assumed Baldoni would never fight back, but he did. And now, with this documentation out in the open, it wasn't just a dispute, it was war. This legal bombshell changed the way fans interpreted Jackman's comment. What sounded like a subtle jab now looked like a strategic strike. Jackman wasn't distancing himself from Reynolds for no reason. He was signaling a break, a decision, a line in the sand. And it turns out, he wasn't the only one. Several past collaborators who had worked with both men quietly started scrubbing social media, unfollowed, unliked.
So I saw you posing in a photo with Mrs. Reynolds, and I'm sorry, what do you call her? Do you guys have a nickname or something? Okay, no, just so it's Mrs. Okay.
Posts disappeared. Interviews that once praised Reynolds were suddenly private or deleted. The digital cleanup was undeniable. At the same time, Justin Baldoni went public with a rare statement. Standing outside the Los Angeles Superior Court, he spoke directly to the press. "This isn't about revenge," he said, looking dead into the cameras. "It's about integrity. I won't let years of work be stolen and rebranded behind my back. We signed a contract. We honored our side. They didn't." He didn't mention Reynolds by name, but he didn't have to.
Anyway, I saw this photo. It was very suggestive.
It looked like he was just trying to be funny, but now with everything coming out, people believe that maybe he was the one who was trying to hijack the whole entire movie, including the marketing.
Every journalist in the room knew exactly who he meant. And then came the twist no one saw coming. Blake Lively was added to the case. Baldoni's team filed an amended complaint naming her as a co-defendant, citing her involvement in the executive decision-making behind Reynolds' production company. This wasn't just a professional feud anymore. It was personal. A full-blown Hollywood power couple was now legally under fire. And with Jackman choosing this exact moment to throw shade, the lines were being drawn. The courtroom was heating up. Social media was on fire. And one thing was suddenly crystal clear.
So it looks like another one of Blake and Ryan's dragons is going down.
This story wasn't about a single shady comment. It was about betrayal, broken deals, and the unraveling of friendships in full view of the public. The silence from Ryan Reynolds was deafening. For a man known for quick wit, viral comebacks, and always being 10 steps ahead on social media, his sudden disappearance spoke louder than any tweet ever could. While the lawsuit burned through headlines and Hugh Jackman's comment echoed across newsrooms, Reynolds went dark. No interviews, no posts, no public appearances. It was as if he vanished overnight, and fans noticed. But behind closed doors, he wasn't inactive. According to court records filed 2 weeks after Baldoni's bombshell statement, Reynolds' legal team submitted a counter motion to have key portions of the lawsuit sealed. They argued the public exposure of internal emails and draft scripts was damaging to professional interests. In other words, the documents showed too much. The court granted partial sealing, but not before several damning exchanges had already made it into public circulation. Among them, an internal memo jokingly referring to Baldoni's pitch as overcooked Hallmark fluff. The email was timestamped less than 24 hours before Reynolds withdrew from the deal. That single line set off a new wave of outrage. Not from fans, but from within the industry. Screenwriters, directors, and even producers began speaking out, publicly. One award-winning showrunner tweeted, "If this is how they treat partners, imagine how they treat staff." Suddenly, the lawsuit wasn't just a legal dispute. It became a litmus test for how Hollywood handles loyalty, contracts, and trust. And right in the middle of it all, Ryan Reynolds, once the most likable man in entertainment, now painted as a calculated player in a ruthless game. Meanwhile, Hugh Jackman kept moving forward, cool, composed, but his actions spoke volumes. Within a week of the red carpet drama, he quietly announced a new production partnership, one not affiliated with Reynolds in any way. The press release was formal, polite, and completely void of any mention of his longtime friend. People saw the message loud and clear. The bromance was officially dead, but the real dagger came next. In an unannounced move, Jackman backed out of a planned cameo in Deadpool 4. The film, already deep into pre-production, had been hyped as a major reunion for the duo. Contracts had been drafted, scheduling had begun. Fans were counting on it. But according to a studio insider who confirmed with production memos, Jackman's team notified Marvel of his exit just days after his public comment. No rescheduling, no replacement, just gone. Marvel scrambled to restructure the storyline. Budgets shifted. Promotional material had to be revised. Internally, panic spread. Because Jackman's absence didn't just affect the film, it sent a message through the entire MCU. If Jackman wouldn't stand by Reynolds, what did that mean for everyone else? Still, Jackman remained calm. In an interview promoting an unrelated project, he was asked if he regretted stepping away. His answer? I believe in showing up for the right people. That's all I'll say. No anger, no mess. Just a controlled, deliberate mic drop. By now, the public wasn't just watching. They were choosing sides. Online communities exploded with debates, edits, conspiracy threads. Team Reynolds, Team Jackman, Team Baldoni. And Blake Lively? She doubled down. While her legal team battled in court, she stayed visible. Smiling paparazzi walks, photos with her kids. Bright colors, perfect lighting. But fans weren't fooled. Every new post felt like strategy, not life. The quiet war was no longer quiet. Careers were shifting, friendships were collapsing. And the story was no longer about one lawsuit. It was about the cost of betrayal and who would survive it. Then, just when the dust seemed ready to settle, it all blew up again. A leaked deposition from the Baldoni case hit the internet, and it detonated like a bomb across Hollywood. It wasn't speculation, it wasn't rumor. It was sworn testimony from one of Reynolds' former project managers, a senior-level executive who had worked directly under his production company for nearly 6 years. The deposition marked confidential, detailed meetings, internal calls, and private conversations about the very project Baldoni had pitched. In the transcript, the executive confirmed that Reynolds had originally been fully on board with the series. The meetings were documented, contracts had been drafted, but then came what the deposition called a priority shift. The testimony described how Reynolds allegedly became obsessed with developing a nearly identical concept just without Baldoni. One section of the testimony read, he said he wanted full creative control and felt Baldoni's attachment made the project feel too emotional. The court documents confirmed it. Reynolds didn't just back out. He allegedly tried to repackage the series behind the scenes and shop it elsewhere, with a new cast, new name, and zero credit to the original co-creator. The internet exploded. The hashtag #Reynolds rebrand started trending within hours. Commentators weren't just criticizing his legal decisions, they were attacking his character. Reddit forums turned into digital tribunals, dissecting Reynolds' past moves, resurfacing old interviews, and even speculating about other partnerships that may have ended under similar shadows. Every joke he'd ever made about being the nice guy started to curdle under scrutiny. And then, Blake Lively was pulled deeper into the fire. Another legal document showed her name attached to a financial transfer linked to the project's early development budget. Her signature was on it. The amendment to Baldoni's lawsuit accused her of knowingly approving funds while being aware of deceptive intent. It was the first direct implication that she wasn't just a passive spouse in this drama. She was actively involved. Her team fired back immediately, denying any wrongdoing and calling the amendment a mischaracterization. But the damage was done. For the first time in her career, Blake Lively was caught in the kind of scandal that couldn't be styled away with an Instagram post. Meanwhile, Hugh Jackman doubled down on his distance. A private video surfaced, recorded weeks before the red carpet comment, showing Jackman at an industry dinner. In the video, he's talking candidly to fellow actors. And though the audio is low, one sentence rings clear. You don't betray creative trust like that, not in this business. People connected the dots. He wasn't talking about some abstract idea. He was talking about this. And while Reynolds kept his silence, Baldoni was gathering momentum. He launched a full-scale media push. Exclusive interviews, sit-downs with top entertainment anchors, even a guest appearance on a late-night show. But this wasn't a PR stunt. This was strategy. Calm, polished, and composed, Baldoni spoke directly to the public. It's not about names. It's about respect. In this business, your word should mean something. That line went viral. At the same time, internal Hollywood circles were beginning to shift. Reports leaked that several major studios were reassessing upcoming collaborations with Reynolds. One even paused talks for a new streaming deal. His once untouchable brand was starting to crack, not because of one scandal, but because people were seeing a pattern. And in a town where reputation is everything, the whispers were turning into decisions. This wasn't just about who was right or wrong anymore. This was about trust, about legacy, about what kind of name people want next to theirs on a marquee. And with Baldoni standing strong, Jackman stepping away, and Lively now under a legal microscope, the final act hadn't even begun. But one thing was certain: the truth wasn't just coming out, it was kicking the door down.